Welcome, first year secondary school students. I would like to welcome you to today's welcome back from a long break. So I hope you enjoy today's session. So let's start with Unit 7, Health and Safety. So let me walk you through today's objectives. So by the end of this session, you will be able to read a leaflet about hygiene around the home, write an email giving advice, listen to a nurse giving advice about how to give first aid, use should, shouldn't, must, and mustn't in context to give advice. Last but not least, interpret research about the importance of hygiene. So let's start with the new vocabulary. Breathe. Breathe, it's a verb, and the noun is breath. Breath. So يتنفس and النفس. So it's basically or simply it's taking air in and out of your body. So this is breathing or breath. And also breathe is the verb. CPR. What do you mean by CPR? It's something that you do to help someone take air in and out of their body. And the CPR, it's like an abbreviation or an acronym for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. I know that this word, it seems to be a bit long, maybe because it has many syllables, so it's way much better to divide it into parts in order to make life easy for you. So let's say, for example, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. It's going to be very easy. Cardiopulmonary resuscitation. This is what we call CPR or الإنعاش القلبي الرئوي. And as you can see in the photo, it's simply you press on the chest of the person in order to help him or her breathe again. Emergency services. These are the people who come to help you very quickly if you have an urgent situation. Of course, this is, as you can see in Arabic, it's خدمات الطوارئ. Danger, it's خطر. Okay, so this is the noun. The adjective is dangerous. And in danger, that means you are in a serious situation. So danger is the possibility of being hurt or killed. Respond. So respond is doing something when someone talks to you. Simply you respond or you reply. So I'm talking to you and you are responding to me. First aid is the basic medical help given quickly to someone. If you are familiar with Mentimeter, feel free to go to www.mentimeter.com and use this code. And you have these two questions. You can answer them very easily, or you can type in the chat if you want. What can you see in the photographs? And what are the different people trying to do? So where is the photograph? Here we go. This is the photograph that we are talking about. So try to think about what can you see in the photo? Simply an ambulance in an emergency situation, perhaps at an accident, and someone doing CPR or trying to revive the man on the ground. What are the different people trying to do? So as you can see here, people in the ambulance are trying to take someone to the hospital, or the person, there's also a person doing CPR is trying to help someone who is very ill. You might need to show uh, exactly, we need the letter CPR. So again, we referred to the CPR, which is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So simply, some people are doing CPR, and there is an ambulance, and there is an urgent situation or a state of emergency. So Now we have an idea about the topic of the unit, and we have a number of vocabulary that will help you. So I want you to listen to a nurse telling people how to give first aid and answer the questions. So listen attentively and take down notes if you want.
Today, I'm going to tell you what to do if you find found and not moving. You must check if there are any dangers near to the person, like electrical cables. Call the emergency services immediately. If there are any dangers, move the person away from them. When you know they're safe, shout, hello, or wake up, and see if the person responds. If the person doesn't respond to you, put your face next to their face so you can check their breathing. If the person isn't breathing, the emergency services will tell you how to do CPR so you can help the person start to breathe again.
All right.
Today, I'm going to tell you what to do if you find a person who is lying on the ground and
Right. So what situation is the nurse describing? And what she's exactly describing what's going on when we have an urgent situation, or if there is someone who is lying on the ground, for example. So what situation is the nurse describing? She's describing what to do if you if you find someone lying on the ground or on the floor and is not moving. He's not moving. What advice can the emergency services give to help someone breathe again? Exactly, they tell us how to do CPR or how to perform CPR. Now, I wanted to have a look at these examples of research. So, read two examples of research into hygiene and think about what are these two reports trying to say. If you are reading it right now or if you are watching the recording, feel free to pause the video and take down some notes if you want and then continue. So, dangerous trousers research has shown that you should only wear a pair of trousers for 1 day. Bacteria can grow quickly in your trousers, so it's a bad idea to wear them for more than 1 day. This is one of the researches. Always wash your hands. Research has shown that people who wash their hands every time they come home from outside don't become ill as often as possible, as often as people who don't. So the people who wash their hands more often, they are getting sick maybe less than other people. So what are the two reports trying to say? The reports are simply highlighting possible problems if you don't keep things clean, like your clothes, your hands, and so on and so forth. Now, I want you to have a look at the advice about interpreting research. So, what is this research warning us about? What is this advice is warning us about? So, I want you to think about when you read the research, because all of you, you are high school students and we are getting closer to university and you will be university students. You will uh, be asked to work on researches. So simply when we do a research or look for other research papers, we have a lot of things to think about. So there is so much information available today. You can find thousands of articles and blog posts online. However, not all of the information you read is correct. So it's a good idea to question it and ask yourself these questions. So we all know that we have millions and tons of information on the internet. So we need to be discriminative. And what do you mean by discriminative? Uh, to have this sense of criticism. يعني نقدر نفرق. Okay? Whenever you read a piece of information, you need to think about it and think of it to see if it's correct or incorrect. Is it logical or not? For example, is it issued by a prestigious university or someone who I can trust in the field? يعني في المجال اللي انا هقرا فيه، هل الشخص ده يعني شخص اقدر ان انا اعتمد على معلومة هو بيقولها ولا لا. اوكي، that's what we mean by to verify، يعني نتأكد من صحة المعلومة. So these are some of the questions that you need to think about when you read the research. Is there anything unusual or surprising in the report? When was the report written? Of course, it has to be very, very recent. Who wrote the report? Is it someone who would know a lot about the subject? If the report is online, who does the website belong to and what other information is on it? If the report is online, do you trust the websites that the links take you to? So you don't have to click any link you have encountered. You need to think about the more reliable links and websites. So based on the advice that you read, so what is it warning us about? So basically we need to be careful about some information that we read online, and some of this information might be incorrect or might not be correct. So some information you read online might not be that correct. All right, so here again, this is again one of the skills that we need to enhance, so to speak. So when we read reports about scientific research, we need to find other researches written on the same topic and what other scientists agree or disagree and what they wrote about this exact topic. And also we need to collect data from different reliable resources. مصادر موثوق منها. All right, so we have an article to read. So read the article about being clean around the house and answer the following questions. And my advice to all of you, whenever you read a comprehension, it's better to read the questions first. Why? Because I need to look for certain piece of information that fill the gaps that the question is asking. So for example, name 4 things you can do to keep your home clean. Okay, so we need to think of that while we are reading. Suggest a title for this article. So we need to think of a title and name 4 things we can do in order to keep our home clean. Most people like to keep their homes clean, but there are many places that we don't think about, and so they become full of dirt and bacteria. Research shows that the deep cuts in chopping boards are often a home for bacteria because people don't clean them properly. Bacteria often move around our homes when we touch things. So phones, tablets, and computer keyboards often have a lot of bacteria on them too. However, bacteria really love warm and wet places. So your kitchen sponge probably has more bacteria than anything else in your home. Experts say that it's most important to wash our hands regularly if we touch animals. We should wash our hands and we need to use a tissue when we sneeze to stop the bacteria from spreading in the air. They suggest using plastic chopping boards and giving them an extra clean once a week. So in order to keep it clean, of course. We should replace kitchen sponges every 2 weeks, and we can buy special cleaners for phones, tablets, and computers. So let's think about the first question. Name 4 things you can do to keep your home clean. I hope you get some notes or take some notes. Use plastic chopping boards and clean them properly. Replace kitchen sponges every 2 weeks. Clean things in your home, in our homes that we touch, such as phones, tablets, and special cleaners. Wash our hands. Use a tissue when you sneeze. Of course, what do you mean by sneeze? It's atsi, which is yatas. Okay, so we have sneezing a lot and cough. This is cough. So الكحة, coughing, or sneezing a lot and coughing الكحة. Suggest a title for this article. For example, a healthy home. Of course, you can suggest more creative titles. Let's move on to lesson 2. What do you do to help keep your home clean? Again, you have a number of questions, and feel free to go to Mentimeter in order to write your feedback, or you can type in the chat. So these are some ideas that we can do. Sweeping and wiping the floor every day, or at least once a week, maybe, or twice a week. Cleaning the bathrooms daily. Dusting all the objects like TV, tables. Arranging books and notebooks neatly. And again, you can add more ideas too. So let's see let me walk you through the new vocabulary. Here, of course, allergy. Allergy is الحساسية. And as you can see, we have different types of allergies. We have food allergy, drug allergy. طبعا food الحساسية الناتجة عن الطعام. Drug allergy الناتجة عن الأدوية. Dust or hay fever. And also يعني الحساسية. So we have different types of allergy. It could be skin allergy, حساسية في البشرة. So allergy, it's a medical condition in which you become ill or in which your skin becomes red and painful because you have eaten or touched a particular substance. At least. So at least not less than a particular number or amount. على الأقل. Bedding, it's غطاء السرير or الفراش. So sheets, covers, linens, etc. that you put on a bed. Blankets. Dust, as you can see in the picture. So it's dry powder consisting of extremely small bits of dirt that is in buildings, on furniture, floors, etc. if they are not kept clean. So if we don't keep them clean on a regular basis, we will have dust on them. Soil, it's the top layer of the earth in which plants grow. It's التربة الزراعية. So now we have a leaflet that we need to read. So read the leaflet about hygiene at home quickly, and then think about which do's and don'ts are only for inside the house or a flat. So, of course, do's and don'ts, it's like we can translate it into Arabic. For example, الأوامر والمحظورات أو المسموح والمحظور, for example, things that we should do or should not do. And again, we need to differentiate between, for example, hygiene and sanitation. So hygiene is the personal cleanliness. Sanitation, it's more related to the surrounding area. So hygiene at home, 7 do's and don'ts for a healthy life. Number 1, take your shoes off. The bottoms of your shoes can carry a lot of bacteria into your house. You should always take your shoes off at the door. Number 2, no more dust. Dust quickly comes back again after you have cleaned. However, dust can make it difficult to breathe, and it can cause skin problems. You should clean your house or flat as often as you can. Number 3, wash the kitchen floor. Food and drinks can easily fall on the kitchen floor. You should clean your kitchen floor at least once a week. You should use warm soapy water so you can remove all the bacteria. And what do you mean by soapy water? Soapy, it's soap. It has soap in it. Change your bedding. We spend a lot of our time asleep in bed. You should change your bedding at least once every 2 weeks so bacteria can't live in it. Number 5, wash your hands after spending time with your pets. Research has shown that contact with pets early in life can protect you against allergies. But animals can also carry bacteria. If you touch your pet, you shouldn't touch anything else until you have washed your hands. Number 6, stay clean in the garden. You should wear gloves if you are going to touch soil in the garden because it can contain bacteria. You should wash your hands when you have finished gardening too. Don't forget to keep your bins clean. A lot of bacteria can grow in your bin. You shouldn't leave your bin open. And let me walk you through hygiene rules around the world in the UK. For example, UK, in the United Kingdom, you must put your food waste in a separate bin. For example, in Thailand, you must take your shoes off before going into someone's house. Last but not least, in the USA, you should offer to help clean up after dinner at a friend's house. So it's a matter of being decent to help other people when you are at home, at their home. So which do's and don'ts are only for inside the house or a flat? Of course, take your shoes off, change your bedding, no more dust. This is number 2. Wash your hands, wash the kitchen floor, and also don't forget to keep your bins clean. So these are all related to your home except number 6. So all of them are related to the house except number 6. Uh, Match the sentences from 1 to 4 with one of these descriptions. A rule or law, advice, suggestion, a very strong advice. So let's think about these 4 sentences. You mustn't eat too much salt. So this is a very strong advice. Number 2, when driving, you must always stop at the red light. So what do you think of this? Take a few seconds to think about it. Number 3, you should have different bins for food waste. Again, think about it. Number 4, you shouldn't leave your bin open. So think about number 1. So it's a very strong advice. Number 2, it's a rule or a law. Number 3, suggestion. Number 4 is an advice. Before we move on to the grammar focus for today's unit, I want you to think about to watch the video first, and then I want you to take down some notes of maybe the grammatical expressions you might notice in the video. Okay? So I hope you enjoy watching and take down some notes if you like. Let's go.
The modal verbs. What are you going to do here, Grandma? Well, I'm going to make pizza. Can I help you? Yes, of course, but you should wear an apron. Perfect. First, we must mix everything in order to obtain the dough. Now we must roll the dough with the rolling pin. Can I do it, please? Yes, of course. Now we're gonna top it with tomato sauce, cheese, onion, bacon, and mushrooms. Can I slice the onion? No, you shouldn't. Why not? Because your eyes may start to burn, and tears may run down your face. But you can cut the bacon. You must be careful with a knife, and you shouldn't cut it so fast. Now we must put it in the oven.
How long should we bake our pizza?
We shouldn't bake it for more than 15 minutes. It could get burned. The pizza must be ready now. Let's take a look.
Grandma, is the pizza ready? It smells delicious.
You must wash your hands before you eat. Let's eat pizza now. You must be very hungry.
Yeah, we are. Grandma, could you pass me the ketchup, please?
Of course. Here you are.
Thanks.
Would you like some more?
No, thanks. I would like an ice cream now.
Let's go to the park and have some ice cream, shall we?
That sounds awesome. Shall I take my bike too? And shall I take my roller skates?
Sure, you can take your bike and roller skates too.
It's so great that you can roller skate, Michelle. I wish I could do it too. It must be terrific. Don't worry, I will teach you soon.
But you can ride your bike without training wheels now. That's great too. You should be content with that for now.
Look at these beautiful flowers. Can I pick them, Grandma?
No, you mustn't pick the flowers.
Can I drink water from this fountain?
No, you shouldn't drink water from that fountain. It's not healthy. You might get sick. This is a special fountain. If you throw a coin into the water, you can make a wish. It might just come true.
Grandma, will you buy me a chocolate ice cream, please?
Yes, of course.
I would like a vanilla ice cream.
Hello.
Hello. May I help you?
I would like 3 single cones of ice cream, please.
May I have a double cone, Grandma?
You shouldn't eat so much, because you can get a sore throat.
What flavor would you like?
I would like vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry flavor, please.
The ice cream was delicious, but I don't like the cone.
You mustn't throw rubbish on the ground, Alice. You must throw it into the garbage can. You mustn't climb up the slide. You may hurt yourself, and you may hurt other kids too. Ladders are for climbing. Alice, you must wait your turn. Excuse me, may I sit here?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Shall we go home now, girls?
Could we stay a little bit longer, please?
Oh, that might be your mom. Yes, she is. She must be curious to know what we're doing.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Bye!
All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you notice that we are in most of the sentences being used in the story or in the video, they are using somehow like the modals, like should, shouldn't, must, mustn't, for giving advice or for warning. So let's have a look at these examples. So basically, we use should or shouldn't for suggestions and advice. You should always wash your hands after you have touched the cat. You shouldn't touch that, it's dirty. And if you notice in the video or in the story that you have just watched, for example, grandma is advising the girl, for example, you should wear an apron. You shouldn't or you mustn't use the knife, for example, or you mustn't cut the onion. It might hurt your eyes, and so on and so forth. So should or shouldn't for suggestions and advice. Must or mustn't, usually we use them for rules and laws. You must leave your bins outside today. If you remember, grandma, when she's asking the boy not to pick the flowers, so she told him, you mustn't pick the flowers. So there is a law and rule not to pick the flower. Again, we use must or mustn't for strong advice and warm invitations. So for example, they mustn't eat that cheese. It's green. It's green. That means it's not healthy to eat. Okay. So they mustn't eat the cheese because if they do, they will get sick. So this is strong advice. For example, if you have an exam tomorrow or next week, so I simply tell you, you must study hard. You must come and have lunch with us. This is a warm invitation. You are inviting your friend for a dinner or a lunch or a birthday party and so on and so forth. We use mustn't to express prohibition. Okay, like again, the grandma when she told the boy not to pick the flowers. You mustn't park your car here. It is not allowed. Okay, so this is not allowed. So let's wrap up. So we use should or shouldn't plus infinitive verb or the infinitive form of the verb for suggestions and advice. You should play tennis. You will enjoy it. You shouldn't eat sweets. They are bad for your health or for your teeth and so on. Must or mustn't plus infinitive, again for a rule or law, warm invitation, and strong advice. You mustn't talk in the library. You must wash your hands before you eat. You must come and have dinner with us. So as you can see, whenever we use should, shouldn't, must, and mustn't, again, notice the different cases that we use them, where we use them, and again, notice the form. So should or shouldn't, must or mustn't, plus the infinitive form. Again, as you can see here, this is the incorrect form or the common mistakes some of you often do. For example, I must buy some bread. It's incorrect to say I must to buy, so we never use to. So this is one of the common mistakes that you usually do. Do not use to. Use the infinitive as it is. Okay? So let's have some practice because as we always say, practice makes it perfect. Reply using should, shouldn't, must, mustn't, using the words in brackets. I cannot breathe in my flat. Open the windows. So this is the advice that I will give. You should open the windows. Number 2, I have put the rubbish in the bin. Wash your hands. Again, this is the advice. Of course, is it just an advice or a suggestion or a strong advice? Of course, it's a strong advice. So you must wash your hands after you've touched a or the or your bin. It depends. Number 3, the floor is dirty because he walked on it with his shoes on. Wear his shoes inside. So do you think that we should do that or shouldn't do that or must or mustn't do that? So he shouldn't wear his shoes inside. Number 4, there is a lot of dust on the bookshelf in her bedroom. clean her bedroom more often. So she should clean her bedroom more often. Number 5, I dropped some food on the floor in the library. Eat in the library. I think this is again rule or law, so you mustn't eat in the library. Okay, so circle the best option to complete the sentences. Number 1, you must or mustn't talk when the teacher is explaining things to you. Number 2, you should or shouldn't wash your hands after working in the garden. Number 3, you must or mustn't eat food after it falls on the floor. Number 4, you should or shouldn't clean your keyboard frequently. Number 5, you shouldn't or mustn't drive a car without holding a drive license. It's against the law. Again, I'm giving you a chance to think about the answers. Take down some notes if you want, and then check your answers. So number 1, you mustn't talk when the teacher is explaining things to you, because in a class we have classroom rules. So you mustn't talk. Number 2, you should wash your hands after working in the garden. Number 3, you mustn't eat food after it falls on the floor because you will get sick. It's a strong advice. Number 4, you should clean your keyboard frequently. Number 5, you mustn't drive a car without holding a driving license because, again, it's against the law or rule. Let's move on to lesson 3. I want you to think about these questions. Who do you ask? Because we were just talking about giving advice and suggestions. Who do you ask when you need advice? What do you do or what do you ask advice about usually? Number 3, can you remember any good advice that you have received? So we have the first one, who you ask for advice. And number 2, what do you ask about? Number 3, a good advice that you remember. So think about it and let's move on. So for example, for the first one, maybe you ask your mom and dad or your grandma or grandfather, maybe a friend that you trust, maybe. What do you ask advice about? Basically, for example, you will ask about, for example, a sport that you want to play or another skill that you want to enhance or learn, or a course that you want to join. How can you study effectively, and so on. Again, good advice that you have received. Think about it and try to form a sentence, and feel free to put it in the chat. Now, you are going to think of some helpful ideas and suggestions for a friend who has a problem. Now, imagine that you have a problem. You have a friend who has a problem. So read the email that you received from your friend, and we need to think about these 2 questions. What problems does Mrs. Zainab have, and what problems does your friend have? So we're going to have 2 types of problems, one that Mrs. Zainab is facing and the other one that your friend is facing. This is how the email looks like. So to the person I'm sending it to and the subject that I'm talking about. So usually we start with dear, your name or your friend, dear, and then your friend name, the friend that you are contacting. So let's have a look at this email together. How are you? I'm well, but I'm writing to ask for some advice. Do you remember my neighbor, Mrs. Zainab? She had an accident last year, and now she doesn't go out much. It is not easy for her to clean. I went to her flat yesterday and the bins were full. The floor and the kitchen were dirty too. She complained about her back hurting, and I think she needs help. But I have a I have a lot of exams coming up. What do you think I should do? I hope you can help me. Best wishes. So let's go back to the problems does Mrs. Zainab have? Of course, if you go back to the email, he said that again, another piece of advice that I'm giving you. I highly recommend that you or highlight the parts that you need to answer the need for answering the questions. So, for example, in the third line, she had an accident. So this is the first problem. She doesn't go out much. She cannot go out. It is not easy for her to clean her room and her flat. Sorry, her flat was very dirty, and all the bins were full, and so on and so forth. Let's move on to the friend. So, what is his problem? Is simply he has a lot of exams coming up. So he wants to help Miss Zainab, but he has a lot of exams. So as you can see, if you read the questions carefully and you read the comprehension or the email or the passage more than once and try to highlight the parts that you find it is relevant, and relevant يعني ليها علاقة بالسؤال. So it's going to be very easy to answer the comprehension questions. So what are the problems? So Mrs. Zainab had an accident and it's not easy for her to clean. So the bins are full, the floor and kitchens are dirty, and her back is hurting too. What problems does your friend have? He or she has exams coming up. This is another comprehension or another example. Read the email quickly, and this is again, as you can see, this is taken from the workbook because we need to cover the exercises and activities that we have in the student book and workbook, and then we can add more supplementary material. So read the email quickly and answer these questions. What is Meher's problem, and what is Amir's problem? So we have two people, Meher and Amir, and both they have problems. So let's see. Hi Amir. طبعا to Amir, that means this email is sent by Meher to Amir. He's talking to Amir, okay? And the subject is help. Hi Amir, how are you? I hope you had a good weekend at the beach. Sami told me about the argument that you had with Hani. I think it would be a good idea to say that you are sorry for getting angry. Stay calm and explain that he should ask you before he borrows your things. I'm sure he will realize that he made a mistake and he will say sorry too. Why don't you talk to him tomorrow? So why don't you talk to him tomorrow is another way of suggestion. I suggest talking to him in the morning because he's usually busy on Sunday afternoons. Now, I hope you can help me with my problem. Do you remember that I was planning to clean my house at the weekend? Well, I was busy and I forgot about it. The problem is that my parents are coming home tomorrow and the house is really dirty. There is dust everywhere and there is a strange smell in the kitchen. What should I do? Help. Regards. طبعا regards, he's ending the email. So let's see Meher's problem first. So what's Meher's problem? Meher forgot to clean the house at the weekend and it's very dirty and his parents are coming tomorrow. What about Amir's problem? Amir got angry in an argument with his friend Hani. Okay, so Hani took his stuff or took his things, أخذ الحاجات بتاعته الأدوات without even taking permission. okay, بدون استئذان, okay, without permission. So that's why Amir got angry. So maybe he needs to apologize for Hani or talk to him in a nicer way. Let's move on to lesson 4, and I promise that you will enjoy it and maybe you will learn some skills as well. So think about these questions again and feel free to type in the chat. Have you ever seen, by the way, or if you are watching the video later on the YouTube channel, you can type your questions or comments in the comment section down below. Have you ever seen a building on fire? Where do fires usually happen? And what would you do if you saw a fire? So think about these 3 questions. So of course, usually any building, we might see a fire in any kind of building, like especially restaurants, bakery stores, hospitals, hotels, maybe. So where do usually fires happen? It doesn't matter. I mean, if you might see it in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Uh, what would you do if you saw a fire? Personally, I would definitely call the emergency services. Okay, so you need to keep the number and feel free to call them. Let's move on to the new vocabulary. Blanket. As you can see, this cute baby, and he's covered with a blanket. It's so cute. And the blanket is cute too. So it's a warm cover on a bed. So blanket, it's غطاء بطانية. So نأسف لبشاعة المنظر. So burn is يحترق or حرق. So it's noun or a verb. So it's damage to the body caused by fire or heat. Evacuate. It's a verb. Evacuation is a noun. Okay, so leaving a place because it is not safe anymore. So it's الإخلاء. I remember that you might have it in your schools. So you have a training how to evacuate from the school. اللي هي خطة الإخلاء اللي احنا بنقول عليها في المدارس بالعربي خطة الإخلاء اللي هو how to leave the school if there is an emergency situation. And this is very important, by the way. So evacuate and evacuation. So this is الإخلاء. Immediately, very quickly, without waiting. So we do it right now, immediately. حالا أو فورا. Wrap. It covers something with cloth or paper. So listen and complete the sentences with the words in the box. So we have the words breathe, doors, emergency, evacuate, immediately, and wrap. So you have these 6 sentences. You will have a listening text and feel free to take down some notes. Listen to each and every sentence and see the missing word. I know that you are excellent and you can do it without even the listening, but let's have some practice. So let's start.
1. If you see a fire, call the emergency services. 2. Stay calm and evacuate the building quickly. 3. If possible, close the doors and windows when you leave. 4. When there is smoke, it is easier to breathe close to the ground. 5. Wrap a blanket around injured people. 6. Put running water on mild burns immediately.
Okay, so if you need to listen to it once again, I can play it once more.
1. If you see a fire, call the emergency services. 2. Stay calm and evacuate the building quickly. 3. If possible, close the doors and windows when you leave. 4. When there is smoke, it is easier to breathe close to the ground. 5. Wrap a blanket around injured people. 6. Put running water on mild burns immediately. 1.
So if you see a fire, call, of course, the emergency services. Stay calm and evacuate the building quickly. if possible, close the doors and windows when you leave. Number 4, when there is smoke, it's easier to breathe close to the ground. Breathe close to the ground. Number 5, wrap a blanket around the injured people. Number 6, put running water on nail burns immediately. You have 3 situations, and in this part, it's gonna be like some sort of brainstorming. What do you mean by brainstorming? It's like عصف ذهني. So you try to get some ideas because you might have, for example, an essay to write about. What would you do if you see a building on fire or an urgent situation or a state of emergency? How would you react? So number 1, so what actions are necessary in these situations? Number 1, someone has broken their arm. Number 2, someone has burned their hand. Number 3, someone has cut their leg. So let's see what we can do in these situations. So if someone has broken their arm, I think you should keep a person still if he or she has broken his or her arm. What do you mean by still? That means not moving. You never move, don't try to move him or her. Of course, you can change the sentence a little bit and say, I think we should keep this person. Number 2, someone has burned their hands. I think you should put running water on milled burns immediately. Someone has cut their leg. I think you should put a plaster on it to stop bacteria getting to it. These are some examples of translation, and as you all know that you have the translation, it's like multiple choice. So let's discuss it and think about it together. Choose the correct English translation from A, B, C, or D. Of course, choose the English translation, so the sentence is in Arabic, and you have 4 English translations to choose from. So number 1, and in this part, maybe I will opt for Arabic a little bit in order to clarify certain things. So في الجزء ده مسموح لنا شوية نتعامل بشوية بالعربي. Number 1, علينا الاهتمام بالنظافة الشخصية لتجنب الإصابة بالكثير من الأمراض المعدية والأوبئة الخطيرة مثل فيروس كورونا المستجد. Let's read the 4 sentences carefully and see which is the most convenient one. So number A is we must care about sanitation to remove infection and dangerous diseases such as new coronavirus. طيب هل هو هنا for example number 1 care about sanitation. احنا we talked about sanitation and hygiene. في الجملة العربي he said النظافة الشخصية it's hygiene. Sanitation دي النظافة العامة. Okay, so number A of course is not the right one. Number B. So I want you to think about the content word. يعني عايزاكي أو عايزة الطالب تبص على الكلمة الرئيسية اللي في الجمل. الكونتنت وورد نقصد بيها ايه؟ اللي هي الكلمة اللي بتأثر في المعنى. يعني مثلا عندي النظافة الشخصية، الأمراض المعدية، الأوبئة الخطيرة، فيروس كورونا المستجد. الكلمات دي الكلمات اللي بتحمل المعنى في الجملة كلها. يبقى دي الكلمات اللي أنا هركز عليها. طبعا نمبر 1 sanitation دي النظافة العامة، فإذا هي مش نظافة شخصية. نمبر B. We shouldn't be interested in healthcare. اللي هو أفندم we shouldn't be interested in healthcare not to catch flu and dangerous diseases like coronavirus. Of course طبعا الجملة دي واضح إنها كلها مش خالص مش جاية مع المعنى. Number C, we should care about personal cleanliness to avoid catching many infections and dangerous epidemics such as a new coronavirus. طبعا هرجع لنمبر C بس هبص على نمبر D كمان. We should not care about personal cleanliness to avoid bringing many infections. طبعا من أول الجملة كده المعنى مش هو خالص. إذن the correct answer is number C. So the answer is number C. ليه بقى؟ لأن لو جينا بصينا على الجملة الإنجليش والجملة العربي بالظبط هي نفس المعنى المطلوب. يعني مثلا we should care about personal cleanliness. طبعا كان ممكن جدا نشيل personal cleanliness ونخليها hygiene. خلاص؟ personal cleanliness النظافة الشخصية. هو هنا مترجمها حرفيا. لتجنب الإصابة بالكثير من الأمراض المعدية اللي هي قلنا عليها to avoid catching many infections الأمراض المعدية and dangerous epidemics الأوبئة الخطيرة. لأن الابيديميك اللي هو الوباء، أوكي؟ أو pandemic الأوبئة الخطيرة. مثل كورونا، فيروس كورونا المستجد. يبقى أنا لما هاجي هترجمها هكتب المستجد فيروس كورونا. فاهمين قصدي؟ يعني تمشوا بنفس ترتيب الإنجليش يبقى new virus كورونا فيروس. So بمنتهى البساطة أقدر من بعض الكلمات البسيطة جدا أقدر أحدد the correct answer and the accurate answer. Okay? Number 2. مما لا شك فيه أن المياه الملوثة غير صالحة للشرب. مما لا شك فيه أن المياه الملوثة غير صالحة للشرب وخطيرة لأنها تسبب الأمراض وتدمر البيئة والحيوانات والأسماك. Number A. There is no doubt that pollution is dangerous because it causes diseases and destroys the environment, animals, and fish. طبعا هو هنا بيتكلم عن البولوشن ولا المياه الملوثة؟ نركز بقى. يعني في الجملة العربي مكتوب المياه الملوثة، يبقى أنا عايزة مستنية فكرة polluted water. طيب number B. There is no doubt that polluted water. حلو قوي. يبقى أنا عندي هنا content word كلمة رئيسية ومحورية في الجملة polluted water المياه الملوثة is drinkable يعني صالحة للشرب نقدر نشربها. طبعا ده هيخلي كل الجملة غير صالحة للإجابة. Number C. There is no doubt that polluted water is not drink. هل ينفع الجملة كده أصلا؟ And dangerous as it causes diseases and so on and so forth. طبعا لا. Number D. There is no doubt that polluted water is not drinkable. That's why number D is the correct answer. So the answer is number D. As you can see, there is no doubt that polluted water is not drinkable. ما نقدرش نشربها غير صالحة للشرب. And dangerous وخطيرة as it causes disease الأمراض. It destroys the environment بتدمر البيئة animals and fish. حاجة كمان if you notice في الجملة العربي لو لاحظنا تدمر البيئة والحيوانات والأسماك. Please when you try to choose the correct answer follow exactly the same order. يعني إيه الكلام ده؟ يعني هتبع نفس الترتيب اللي قدامي. يعني مثلا تدمر البيئة والحيوانات والأسماك، يبقى أنا هختار الترجمة اللي بتقول إن هي بتدمر it destroys the environment, animals and fish. ما ينفعش أغير الترتيب. أوكي؟ ليه بقى ما ينفعش أغير الترتيب؟ متخيلين إن مثلا البيئة والحيوانات والأسماك، متخيلين لو أنا جبت environment وانيمالز وفيش وغيرت ترتيبهم في الترجمة كأني بقول إن الحيوانات معناها مختلف والبيئة معناها مختلف والأسماك معناها مختلف. أتمنى تكون النقطة دي واضحة بالنسبة لكم. مهم جدا الترتيب. يعني لو قال لك بيئة وحيوانات وأسماك مثلا حد بيقول لك أنا أتحدث اللغة الإنجليزية والفرنسية والإيطالية والأسبانية بطلاقة، يبقى أنا لما هاجي هترجم لازم أكتب اللغات كلها بنفس الترتيب. يبقى أي حاجة أي مجموعة ألفاظ أو كلمات موجود عندي في الترجمة لازم you have to stick to the order. لازم ألتزم بالترتيب بتاعها. دي كده الترجمة من عربي لإنجلش. So it's translation into English. Let's have this Arabic example. Choose the correct Arabic translation from A, B, C, or D. Number one, to prevent the spread of infectious diseases or being infected, take care of your personal hygiene. زي ما شفنا من شوية قلنا personal cleanliness. This is personal hygiene. Regularly. So to prevent the spread of infectious diseases or being infected, take care of your personal hygiene regularly. نيجي بقى number A. اهتمامك بنظافتك الشخصية بشكل أساسي هو الطريق لمنع انتشار الأمراض المزمنة وإصابتها. Number B. لمنع انتشار الأمراض المعدية أو العدوى بها، اعتني بنظافتك الشخصية بانتظام. لوقف انتشار أي مرض معدي والإصابة به، عليك بالنظافة الشخصية أو النظافة بشكل شخصي وباهتمام. منع انتشار الأمراض الفتاكة، طبعا هو ما قالش الأمراض الفتاكة، هو قال الأمراض المعدية infectious disease. يبدأ بالاهتمام بالنظافة بشكل شخصي ويومي ومنظم. طبعا هي أفضل ترجمة وأنسب ترجمة نمبر بي. لمنع انتشار الأمراض المعدية أو العدوى to prevent the spread انتشار الأمراض المعدية infectious disease or being infected أو العدوى بها، اعتني بنظافتك الشخصية بشكل منتظم أو بانتظام. So number B is the correct answer. Number two, planting trees helps the environment. They provide shade in summer and absorb carbon dioxide. نشوف بقى الترانسليشن. غرس الأشجار يساعد البيئة، فهي توفر الظل في الصيف وتمتص ثاني أكسيد الكربون. نمبر بي، نباتات الأشجار تساعد البيئة، فهي توفر الظل في الصيف وتمتص ثاني أكسيد الكربون. نمبر سي، غرس الأشجار يساعد البيئة، فهي تحد من الظل في الصيف وتمتص ثاني أكسيد الكربون. نمبر دي and the last one، غرس الأشجار يساعد البيئة، فهي توفر الظل في الصيف وتنتج ثاني أكسيد الكربون. طب let's think about all these translations. Of course, number A is the correct answer. غرس الأشجار, planting trees helps the environment. So غرس الأشجار يساعد البيئة. هنا غرس planting اللي هي الزراعة نفسها. طبعا number B نباتات الأشجار، غرس الأشجار، يعني ممكن C و D كنا ممكن نفكر فيها. طب نكمل باقي الجملة. They provide shade in summer. Provide هنا يعني بتوفر الظل. اوكي، او موجود الظل بتوفره. They provide shade in summer and absorb carbon dioxide. So هي بتوفر الظل في الصيف وكمان بتمتص ثاني اكسيد الكربون. يبقى هنا عندي ايه؟ توفر نمبر A طبعا هي الإجابة الصحيحة. the correct answer. غرس الأشجار يساعد البيئة، فهي توفر الظل في الصيف وتمتص ثاني أكسيد الكربون. لأن لو جينا بصينا على B و C و D هنلاقي في كل واحدة فيهم فيها غلطة. يعني مثلا نباتات الأشجار في نمبر B تخلي كل الجملة غلط. نمبر C غرس الأشجار تمام، فهي تحد من الظل. هل هي بتقلل الظل؟ طبعا لا، يبقى دي غلط. نمبر دي غرس الأشجار يساعد البيئة، تمام، فهي توفر الظل في الصيف وتنتج ثاني أكسيد الكربون. تنتج يعني هي بتطلع ثاني أكسيد الكربون ولا بتمتص ثاني أكسيد الكربون؟ تمتص absorb. فزي ما اتفقنا إنه ركز على الكونتنت words. So let's shift بقى to Arabic to English. So when we come to translation, you need to think about the content words first and think about, read the sentences carefully and see if each and every word parallel، يعني كل كلمة موازية أو بتوازي أو بتعادل الجملة اللي موجودة. And it's gonna be very easy to highlight the correct answer in a second. Okay. So now I've come to the end of today's session. If you have any questions feel free to type in the chat. Again, if you're watching the if you're watching the video on the YouTube, so feel free to type the questions or comments in the comment section down below. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed your session today. Thank you.